And we will post that complete interview up there on our website. So we are going to go, I believe, to our next guest. They are going to join us, hopefully, program, and can hear us. We're let's see if I've got a guest user, but I don't have a. There we are. Look at that. I can see you, but I don't know if I can hear you yet.
Oh, okay. I got my.
I can kind of hear you. It's very faint. You may have to bump some things up there.
Is that better?
I can hear you very faintly. It's like you've got it's like your computer is picking up your mic or something, but
Is this better?
there we go. Look at that. You fixed it. Holy smokes. It always works if you click this, drag that, and do that all that other nonsense. But we have got a great guest with us today. Go ahead and give us a brief introduction on yourself, my friend, just in case I missed something here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name's Harriet Fraser. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, but you can probably hear I come from England, from Norwich. And yeah, I recently released an album called Peace, which I recorded just beside me in this makeshift studio and recorded it in over the pandemic myself in the studio, layering my voice one part over the top of the next. And it's called Peace, 12 tracks. And thanks so much for having me.
So tell me a little bit about why you decided to do this recording the way that you did it, because it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole album came out of what I was seeing in the pandemic. I have 3 children here at home, and I was seeing the anxiety that it was bringing, the fear, them not being able to sleep, getting quite anxious. And it made me think about trying to create something during this time that would calm people, soothe people. And, we weren't really going anywhere. They weren't at school. And I couldn't sing with friends because singing was one of those dangerous things to do over the height of the pandemic, sadly, even though it makes you feel so good to do it. It was one of those things that was scary to do, certainly in a group at the time. And so I set up a very basic kind of microphone interface system linked to my computer and sort of blocked off this little area in my office. And my friend Sean Kirshner, who I sang with in the Los Angeles Master Chorale for many years, he's a great friend. He had been doing these nightly vespers to try and help people himself, and I heard him do all through the night. And it was just this trigger, because I realized that that's what my grandparents used to sing to me to, get me to sleep when I was staying with them. And he said, "Oh, I could rearrange it for 3 parts, and you could record it." And that's what I did, and that was the beginning of this album. People really responded to it on social media, and I thought I can do more. And we sort of put 12 songs together and got this fantastic friend of ours, Dana Nielsen, to create this sound world that we put it in, and that's where it all came from, really.
That's awesome.
So I was recorded one part and had a click track for that first part to get the beat right, and then it was just me. I'd have that in my ear and then sing the next part over the top, and some of them have as many as 6 parts. It was fun.
Wow, that is tremendous. We have got a great guest with us today. She joins us here on our big broadcast, coast to coast and border to border on iHeartRadio. Also, AMFM247.com. You can also find us at 990 WBOB in Rhode Island, of all places. And, of course, the mix on Tuesdays and 24/7 at our website, themike.fun. So this song, Rocking Carol, is a tremendous, tremendous track. Tell me a little bit about some of the feedback you've gotten on this so far from folks.
Yeah, so the Rocking Carol came a little bit later. Of course, it was coming up to the holidays, and I figured that it would be great to offer these people who'd started listening to Peace, the album, um, something for the holidays. And so Sean actually already had this arrangement, and so it's a classic old, carol, originally from Czechoslovakia, and it and I just basically did the same thing, just layered one voice over the next, and created that for the holidays.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. It is a great guest with us today. Harriet Fraser is with us. Rocking Carol. We were talking a little bit about this as far as also the album Peace. So how did you get involved in music to begin with? Because you've got an incredible background in choir and being just a tremendous musician.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a place called Norwich in the UK, and my parents hadn't grown up there themselves, but they made sure that we always had music growing up. They wanted to make sure they both sang, but they wanted to make sure we had a good music education, and made sure we went to schools. They were public schools, but schools that were interested in music. So I always sang in choir right from the beginning, and then started learning the cello and the piano when I was 7 years old. And there were four of us, and we all played instruments and sang. And I was told, in those days in the UK, you had free lessons on instruments, and we were lent instruments by the school. That was amazing. There were these great orchestras, student orchestras in the city that I lived in too. So we just kind of got locked into all of that. And I worked at a classical record shop every Saturday, and just was immersed myself. I loved classical music just right from the get-go. And so then, I continued that. I went off to medical school at 18, so I'm actually a doctor, but always sang during that time when I was studying. That was my release. It was kind of my therapy in a way to get me through medical school, and was working as a doctor, a junior doctor in the UK, at the same time as trying to sing in these semi-professional choirs to keep me sane, because it was a lot of work, like sometimes 120 hours a week. It was crazy, but the music always saw me through the ups and downs of it. And but then of course, things happen. You meet people. I met my husband. He was from California, and in the end we moved here. And so I couldn't practice medicine anymore, so continued with singing and music, and joined this wonderful choir, the Los Angeles Master Chorale, and ended up starting to sing on movies. And so really then my life became really more exclusively about music. But I think the Peace album, really came also partly from my medical background, where I really was trying to do my bit to help in the pandemic. There was just so much fear, anxiety, people were losing loved ones. And it was my response to that, to try and bring some kind of calm, some kind of tranquility to what was going on in the world, and trying to help people find some kind of peace in amongst all of that. So that was my doctor side speaking in a way that I had to do something. So it kind of combined the two in a way.
That's awesome. So doing the production, this is the one thing I always love about musicians, is a lot of times musicians, they do their own production, they do all their own recording and producing and everything. Talk to me about your setup and how you were able to bring this together and just do all the things that you've done, because you have got quite the little setup there to be able to put this album and this music together.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting question because I'm not really a technical person, and a lot of us singers and choral ensemble singers going into the pandemic, we're very much, our bread and butter was gone. We couldn't sing together, so a lot of us started setting up those. And I had done a course, who I mentioned earlier, the person who mixed and mastered this. I had done a course with him about setting up a home studio, but had not actually done it, of course, because there wasn't a great need at that time. But then the pandemic came along. We were needing to do recordings from home. So this was this perfect opportunity. And, there was a lot of resources online because fellow singers were also setting up home studios, and we were to people who were doing for advice on what equipment to get. So it's very simple. I've got a UA warm the mic, and I have the Apollo Twin interface, connected to my computer. I have some very makeshift kind of soundproofing bits and pieces going on. I got a lot of technical help from Dana on how to record something that he could then work with in terms of mixing it. So, very basic setup, but it's a really good mic for my, which I was, got what was best, and he is brilliant. So he, I would send him these, all the stems, and he would, mix them in this incredible way. So I was very lucky to have great material from Sean, and then a great technical person who could produce it with me.
Well, what you've done here is amazing, and you have put together some really cool stuff. You can get Rocking Carol. It's available on all major streaming platforms, including Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, and your debut album Peace was released worldwide in October. What's been the feedback you've gotten on this album?
Well, I mean, I'm really pleased with how how it's been going. I'm over 70,000 streams all over the world, literally. And the top countries: US, Brazil, Poland, Turkey. I mean, it's really fascinating, and getting messages from people who are finding it all over the world, and finding it doing for them what I was really hoping it would do, and bring them some beauty and calm and something restorative. So it's been a really wonderful to hear that feedback. And, I know people who've been using it for yoga and, yoga classes and meditation. And so, I wasn't sure what to expect.
Well,
it really has, served a need for many people.
No, it is amazing. We are going to play Rockin' Carol here in just a few moments. Before we let you go, how do people get your music and buy your music and support you, my friend?
Thank you. All the album and Rockin' Carol major streaming platforms. You can get, if you're old school and want a CD, you can go to my website, which is www.harrietfraser with an FRASER.com, and order the CD. And it's out there. Yeah, please have a listen.
Fantastic. Well, Harriet, this has been an honor and a privilege. Thanks for doing this. I would love to have you back when you have some updates for us. Thanks for putting out this great music, and we are going to play Rockin' Carol. Thanks for being with us, my friend.
Thanks so much. It
was amazing. Thank you. Appreciate it, my friend. There she goes. That is Harriet Fraser, and we are going to go to this incredible tune. There is a music video for it on YouTube. So we are going to go to Rockin' Carol, and it's here on our big program. That is Harriet Fraser. That is Rockin' Carol, and it is your world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast coast to coast and Boda to Boda on iHeartRadio today. And we are going to go to our next guest.